I used to rule the world. Seas would rise when I gave the word. Now in the morning I sleep alone. Sweep the streets I used to own. I used to roll the dice, feel the fear in my enemy's eyes, listen as the crowd would sing. Now the old king is dead, long live the king. 1 minute I held the key. Next the walls were closed on me, and I discovered that my castles stand upon pillars of salt and pillars of sand. I hear Jerusalem bells ringing, Roman cavalry choirs are singing. Be my mirror, my sword and shield, my missionaries in a foreign field. For some reason I can't explain, once you're gone, it was never an honest world. That was when I ruled the world. It was a wicked and wild wind blew down the doors to let me in. Shadow windows and the sound of drums. People couldn't believe what I'd become. Revolutionaries wait for my head on a silver plate, just a puppet on a lonely string. Oh, who would ever wanna be king? I hear Jerusalem bells ringing, Roman cavalry choirs singing. Be my mirror, my soul and shield, my missionaries in a foreign field. For some reason I can't explain, once you're gone, it was never an honest word. Was when I rule the world. What's up, y'all? I have been watching the Ukrainian lines for a year now, traumatizing myself with daily updates and videos. Dan Crenshaw isn't only lying about Ukraine winning, he is a pathetic coward whose entire worldview isn't informed on data, but instead Marvel movies and propaganda. And I'm not actually being hyperbolic about that Marvel movie crap. That guy is the biggest soy boy ever. Literally the single biggest soy boy ever. And it is so pathetic that any member of our armed forces could ever stoop that low. But he's a pathetic little worm. Try not to curse. How you doing, guys? But he's still more alpha than Andrew Tate. You got punched a few times. You sold subscriptions to a Discord clique. And you held cars for Arab sheiks. You're literally nothing. If it wasn't for the fact that you're adjacent to federal agencies that are getting shuttered right now, you would be nothing. And it's shocking that anybody could be tricked by that. It really is shocking. On that note, I really dislike Ralph screaming, Ricada screaming, because I watched Ricada way back in the day, and then he started to get drunker and drunker and drunker, scream more and more and more, and then I just couldn't watch him anymore, and he went downhill severely, and I wasn't around to watch. And EPP screaming, unfortunately, I don't like it. I don't like it when he gets like unnecessarily aggressive. And Worski should be able to, I'm not joking about this. So this is going to give some of you a giggle, but Worski should be able to wrangle him, because Worski legitimately knows what it's like to be way too aggressive and have that mess up a lot of potential for a long time until you reel it back in. And like legitimately, PPP shouldn't be like screaming and getting all misogynistic and silly. Like he should keep it goofy. He should keep it fun. Because a lot of the stuff that he can succumb to when he lets himself isn't fun, but weird. And then he starts to ramble, and then he starts to yap, and he loses aura, and he says some stuff that gets clipped strangely. And it's just not good. You know, you can work on that. You can work on that a lot. Falsetto aggression is always a canary in the coal mine for deteriorating mental health. And genuine, like, falsetto aggression. Like, you can summon genuine aggression on issues that you're passionate about. But falsetto aggression, kind of testing the waters and seeing what people want to hear, and then, like, venting yourself on that particular topic. That's not something that I've not seen that bear good fruits in the time that it has been deployed and sowed as a tactic. So, hope he keeps that in mind. There was a Chicago detective that linked 3 things to potential murder. And funny enough, anger isn't one of them. But what it is money, sex, and obsession. Fraternities program people from college to be obsessed with sex and to be obsessed with money, especially depending on if you're going to an Ivy League school or a party school. That will depend on, and Skull and Bones will do both. But Andrew Tate, feds like Andrew Tate program literal children in grade school. And I give you my word, that's happening. And I hope to see the teachers are like way out of control. I'm not joking about this. Teachers are like way out of the control. There's too much mental illness adjacent to American children. Way too much. And whether it manifests as, you know, rainbow flags and bring your gender to show and tell day in one classroom, or Andrew Tate insanity in another classroom, they're screwing these kids up for life. They're going to end up with like little scars in their psyche forever if it doesn't end up deteriorating them horrendously. And we really need to work on that. We really need to audit the entire school system, which is something that we would be already doing if we weren't focused on just literally getting people's attention. Like, that's the thing, is like Mr. Twitter man cares way more about attention than he does raising children, and that's a big issue. It's a big issue. And here's the kicker. Doge is costing the taxpayer $10 million every single week. And I couldn't for the life of me tell you where exactly that's going from, other than the fact that they're being drastically overpaid because they're saying they're saving so much money. Doesn't matter how much money you save. You know, same thing with construction. I don't care if you can put up a box for $1 million. Let me see you do it for $5,000. Let me see you do it for $7,000 to $8,000. Then I'll be impressed. I am not the least bit impressed with you for being able to put up a crappy looking box for $1 million and taking 6 months to do it. Not impressed. Build a home in 6 months, I'll be a little bit more impressed. And like, it really doesn't take that long. It really doesn't. So it's pathetic. It's melodrama patheticism all around. And that's why I say Generation X is inflicted very severely with melodrama patheticism, and they raise a generation of suicidal idiots. And let's make sure that the next generation isn't all screwed up like the millennial generation was. Can we do better for the next ones? Can we prevent them from turning into miserable, foolish wastrels? Please. Because I think the kids are all right, but they won't be if everything around them is just grooming them into being just as bad. And that's the problem with Gen X, is just like everything around them, concerted effort of $1 trillion+ to really effectively invested to manipulate them. And that's the boomers failing. But ultimately, when you have an entire generation that consent to being as annoying as possible and giving people as many headaches as possible and wasting as much time and money as possible, it's an issue. So let's cut this crap and let's move on to a better future, shall we? Meanwhile, Dodge trucks are not beating the driven by scumbag allegations. So here's what happened. I was driving on the road, having a good time. You see this big red Ram coming up right behind me, and I'm just like, okay, whatever, bro. As I said, I'm not going to pull up for you. I'm not going to pull aside from you. We are on a 2-lane road. You go around me. Guy rides me for like 20 seconds and then whips to the side, whips in front of me, rocking his car, rocking his truck because he's whipping it so hard because he's a immature little guy. And then he just stops in the middle of the road. Well, guess what? I'm trained. I've been training on those reflectors like horse dressage cones. I take all in as quickly as possible without even getting my heart rate up. Swear to God, without even getting my heart rate up. I take it all in. I feel a little tiny pang afterwards. A little tiny pang of a bit of chemical anxiety, just the smallest amount. But my heart rate doesn't even go up in the middle of the situation. I'm going like 50 miles an hour coming up to the back of this Dodge that stopped in the middle of the road. And I just half lane it, weave right around him, don't hit any of the reflectors, come back in, accidentally hit one of the reflectors coming back in, you see. So it's not a perfect score. But chuckled under my breath that the guy was an a-hole. But I'm good at dodging a-holes as good as I am at dodging potholes. So there you go. Like, really, you're not beating the allegations with that sort of behavior, Gen X. Like, get your crap together. I don't care if you got to put it in a box or if you got to take it somewhere. Take it somewhere. Just get it together. I could have something like that happen to me every single day and be completely fine with it. It's just like, you're gonna, okay, so the thing is, you were ripping a Yui after speeding in my direction? What? Like, that's the thing. And guess what? I've actually managed to, I have a miles per gallon efficiency reader that ticks up and down depending on how efficient the driving is. And when I got the car, it was at 31. It's at 34.3 now. I'm only getting in higher every single time I drive it. A little bit, a little down, a little up. Depends on where I'm driving. Highway, more efficient naturally. But as I said, like, my transmission loves me, and this is the good thing about learning how to drive a manual, is you actually pay attention to your RPM. You need to pay attention to your RPM. You do not need to be pushing on the accelerator when you're downshifting. Seriously, if you have an automatic, and you need to know where your car prefers to shift automatically. So, like, yeah, great, get it up to 2.5, 3,000 RPM, but when you start getting close to that line where it shifts into third or fourth gear, whatever setup you have going on, you need to start, probably fourth gear, you need to start going back a little bit. See, your transmission has no idea what you want. It only knows how fast the car is going. And when you just blare on it, when you just redline your vehicle, your transmission's like, you're torturing me. Oh, gosh. So come on, get it together. Treat your stuff right and it'll treat you right. Simple as that. Now, if you want to have an electric car do all the work for you, fine. But the only reason why that reality even exists, that people wanted that, is because people don't know what their vehicles are about. They don't know how to use them properly. Everything is hard to some extent. Even driving, even though driving's kind of a baby thing. Cross-country driving is not that easy. Driving a semi is very dangerous. I've always had respect for truck drivers. It's just I fear for their health and their mental well-being given the constraints of the job. Like the food constraints and the loneliness and stuff like that. But give it 2 weeks. Anything that you're having trouble with, give it 2 weeks solid. Think about it all the time. Dedicate like 2 or 3 hours every single day to it, and it'll get easier. You'll get more familiar with it. It'll start becoming easier. It'll start becoming something you understand. Give it 2 weeks and really dedicate those 2 weeks. And if you don't have the time to dedicate in those 2 weeks, say you're super busy, dedicate 2 weeks worth of time over the course of multiple months into it. Speaking of which, I'm going to get back into playing cello. I'm going to get back into practicing my scales first. Just bread and butter scales. None of the songs, just scales, 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 scales. I got a lot of singing coming up for the church, but that'll help too. And hopefully I'll be able to crack out some cello songs for y'all, which a couple of people have requested over the course. Lifeguard Hermit, my bro. Respect. Shaka Zulu! I miss you, bro. I've wanted so badly in the past to like Matt Walsh, you know what I'm saying? But you can't work for the Daily Wire and tell the truth, unfortunately. You'll literally get fired. Look what happened to Candace Owens. It's not good. It's not good, folks. So, you know, give it a shot, and I just didn't like it. I gave it a shot. Going door to door inquiring if they have a moment to talk about the encomienda system. Little Warhammer 40k aside, the Iron Warriors are like an anthropomorphized version of a hydraulic press. That's like they put every single new pledge through the new charge through the hydraulic press to see if they're iron within, iron without, you know? Best bad guys in the series for sure. Best bad guys in the series for sure. And I know the writers deliberately made them the best bad guys in the series. Because, you know, you got Magnus. Like, come on. Anybody who says Magnus the Red did nothing wrong, come on. Can you go read that again? Can you read the whole thing again? It's not necessarily his fault that he got incredibly emo while the wolves, I can't remember the fourth's name for some reason in my head. The wolves were like tearing his planet apart. But when he went back and he destroyed Fenris because of it, two wrongs don't make a right. And it's like the reason why it's not his fault that he like kind of like shut himself off for a period of time before getting his spine broken and achieving apotheosis by selling his soul afterwards, is because he was attached the deepest to the warp and its potential for psychicness. So like the horrific plagues of the bouts of foresight that the Night Haunter and the his Legion experienced is like a perfectly constructed looking glass as opposed to a kaleidoscope made out of nails that like digs into your head. Like he could see it, he could know that was what was going on, how his father was manipulated, the Emperor of Mankind was manipulated and manipulating, and how Terra was like deeply, deeply cursed by all of this process. He knew all of this. And it's very sad when you like really sit down and you think about all that. But afterwards, like, no, man, you die with dignity. And you do not go and you do not turn around and do the exact same thing that gave you so much misery and sorrow to... And you know that they were tricked, man. Come on. They were tricked. That's the thing. That was not a genuine... That was somebody manipulating Horus into tricking them to do that. So, come on. Magnus did a bunch of stuff wrong. And the pathetic Death Guard. Big ups, Nathaniel Garrow. You can insult a Warhammer 40k fan more by insulting their favorite Legion than insulting them directly, no matter what you're talking about, I swear. You know, Nietzsche said God is dead in reference to the Enlightenment taking away many mysteries and bereaving the church of its sacred place of collected esoteric knowledge with exoteric sprawl. But I posit that the other hand is the one cracking. The hand of Adam is the one that's cracking, not God's. We're buried in garbage and we're suffocating. Speaking of garbage, notice how everybody but Londoners have abandoned the term British in favor of English, Scottish, Irish, Welsh, Cornish, even Northumberland prefers Norfie to Brit, by God. You know, it is a short episode for today, but hey, I hope y'all enjoyed it. I hope my singing didn't come out too bad. All right, y'all. Cheers.